What's up, everybody, man? Welcome in the podcast. Let me make sure I specify this. The podcast, according to sources, A2S Network, part of Payton Sports Network. You can follow us at A2S Pod 1 on Twitter.
Hey, well, first, what happened? Because I don't be checking Twitter like that. Man, I logged in. I was like, man, what is BC got going on now? And then I looked. I was like, oh, okay, this is nothing. I logged back off. But I seen what it was about.
I didn't have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I ain't even do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody tagged me in it, and it turned into like a whole thing or whatever. But come on, man. Like, I mean, no disrespect to nobody, but we've been getting it in for a minute under the act, so they can stop playing. Definitely. But them dudes was cool, you know what I'm saying? You know, we worked it all out. It was just a little misunderstanding. You know, I was just thinking my man came a little too aggressive out the gate. You know what I'm saying? But whatever, we figured it out.
So tonight, before we get into it, of course, the best three-man weave in podcast land. I have my wings running with me on the break. My guy, Chris Cason at C4 Dunk. My boy, Bryan Crawford at B_Craw4D. And tonight, this is our NBA preview and our Chicago Bulls preview. And we also are going to talk about how the game has evolved and opened up. And we want to ask you, we put it out there on social media today. We asked you guys, our listeners and our followers, name a player from a previous era that you think would have had a much better career in this era and in the game today. Today's NBA. We got some very interesting answers. I look forward to seeing what you guys think about the answers we got from people and then seeing who you think. You know, a lot of people gave names that were already really good players, you know, but how much of a margin would they have been better because they were already good? Yeah. It was like, man, some names were guys that were a little bit bigger margin. You think they would have had a much better career, especially smaller guards that ran pick and roll, that didn't run as much pick and roll in previous eras. So we'll get to that. We got a little PG-13 stuff to talk about. I know BC wants to get to that. We'll talk about James Harden, his trade request. And then we're going to cover the Chicago Bulls and what we think. The expected win total from ESPN is very, very low. A lot of people think with the addition of Billy Donovan as the head coach that the talent there is enough to make the playoffs. We'll get into that as well. But as always, we're going to start with the opening layups. So I go behind the back and throw this no-look bounce pass to UC4. What's on your mind?
Props to Mark Cuban, Dallas Mavericks for, you know, basically, you know, giving a little parting gift to JJ Barea, you know, before releasing him. I mean, you know, there's a lot of things we can say about the Mavericks organization just the last few years that, you know, haven't been positive. But, I mean, the one thing that Cuban has done since, you know, stepping in as owner is he's made sure to, you know, even they haven't gotten like the top free agents, but he's made that as player friendly as an organization as possible. And doing little small moves like this goes a long way. And just, you know, guys take notice of things like this, especially a guy like JJ Barea, who isn't, you know, like a household name, but, you know, in terms of what he means to that organization, 11 years there, won a championship there, taking care of your players always goes a long way, you know, just in terms of optics for the player. So, you know, shout out to Mark Cuban and Dallas for taking care of JJ.
No look to my guy BC. What's on your mind?
I'm going to keep it in Texas. James Harden is a clown. That's it.
It's just that simple for you.
Nothing else need to be said.
Man, so
knock it off.
C4, before we go into it, we mentioned we're going to get to the conferences and preview the season at large and then get to the Chicago Bulls. But before we do that, you've been doing great work with several outlets, GQ, Forbes, dealing with health issues. You had a great article about how the players were able to deal mentally and physically down in the bubble and the protocols with that. And you've dealt with other sports dealing with the pandemic and health issues. So when you see a report from Brian Windhorst today saying that the NBA maybe moving to possibly mandate the use of vaccine league wide for its players. And you see De'Aaron Fox and CJ McCollum laugh at that report. You know, with everything that they have, because they did a great job in the bubble.
Yeah.
0 cases in the bubble. Everything went off without a hitch. Michelle Roberts, Adam Silver, the players, everybody deserves a big round of applause. But with all of that being said, moving forward into this 72-game season, is this something that the NBPA should really take a look at? Or, should they just educate the players and just fall back and let them decide on their own?
Well, yeah, I think anytime when you're talking about mandating somebody, take a vaccine, you're going to face extreme pushback. I mean, the league, the NBA has been, at the forefront of a lot of things, but, I don't think, there's lots of people in society when this vaccine is made available that aren't going to get, this vaccination. And I know a lot of things are going to be predicated going forward. I think you'll see it a lot next year towards mid to end of the year. You're going to see a lot of things be mandated and predicated on people having taken this vaccination, whether that's travel, whether that's entering sporting venues, concerts, and things like that. I mean, I can understand it, but also, it's almost like you already have people out here that don't want to wear masks. So, to try and mandate people, take a vaccination when a lot of people don't even trust the flu shot, is not at all good. So I just see players are going to have like extreme pushback on this issue.
BC?
I mean, you really can't mandate nobody to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's just at the end of the day. People gonna have to exercise their personal choices on that. You mentioned the bubble. Nah, they didn't have no cases in the bubble, but I think how many players have tested positive so far? Like 58, something like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you don't have that type of bubble environment where you can kind of control it, you're gonna get cases. Like that's just a matter of fact. You see you seen it happen in baseball in the World Series. You seen it happen already in the NFL. So that's gonna happen when you allow guys to kind of move, in their element. You know what I'm saying? Keeping it, with the Chicago Bulls, Garrett Temple tested positive. You know what I'm saying? Like he went home for Thanksgiving. He told people, don't gather like that. He did it anyway. He became positive. So I mean, that's just the risk you take, and that's the reality that we live in. But you can't mandate anybody to, put nothing in their body that that they don't know anything about, that they don't consent to or anything like that. So yeah, I don't, Windhorse, y'all know what I feel about that dude. So I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt. But just for me personally, I don't think that's gonna happen because it's just not gonna go over well. People got their own, everybody got their own feelings about vaccines and stuff like that. So that's just not gonna happen.
So, of course, positive tests could put teams at a disadvantage throughout this 72-game season. You look at the Chicago Bulls, their training staff has been much maligned. We don't have to get into specifics, but, they've got a new training staff, so that might bode well. But teams and organizations that have been at the top of the league, you think about Phoenix, and they've been long thought of as a great staff out there in Phoenix, the way they take care of their players. Will this play into the setup of testing and how teams go about making sure that they try to keep the positive rate down when it comes to COVID-19 for their particular teams? Because all of the responsibility now lies with the individual teams rather than the league itself.
I mean, you're gonna have testing. That's just a matter of fact. Portland just shut down. They facility was like last week or something like that. So I mean, this is gonna be a constant state of testing. Like that's just what it is. The guidelines have changed a little bit to where, if a player tests positive, he's got to quarantine for 10 days. So that amount of time is shorter. But again, I mean, if you're not controlling people's movements, particularly when they're in their home cities, you can do it easy on the road. But when you're at home, you don't know who they got, coming in and out of the crib or around them in the car, or whatever like that. So,
right.
I mean, this is just what we live in. This is just the era that we live in. I'm interested to see, the fan aspect of it too, because you got that. You got, like, I'm down here in the South, so New Orleans, they gonna have fans in the arena. They gonna probably bring the numbers down. They might do it in Memphis, so you'll have that dynamic too. I think they're gonna do it out in Utah. So
Right.
it's a lot of it's a lot of things. It's a lot of moving parts. But like I said, at the end of the day, you're gonna have cases.
Yeah, I think the onus is going to once again fall on the players. I mean, that's why they have this like rule: no clubs, no gatherings over 15 people. Everything is going to fall on the players, making sure they do their best to not put themselves in harm's way. So, I mean, but it's so difficult because, I mean, you're speaking with a lot of these guys who haven't been around their families for, 4 months, 3 months. And, now they're able to somewhat move around freely. So it's difficult. But, I mean, the onus is going to fall to the players. But the only thing the teams can do is just make sure they're at a high standard when it comes in terms of protocol and making sure that the training staff is masked up around the players. But I mean, there's really no way. Once the players are outside of your facility, they're on their own. So that's why the onus is going to fall towards the players.
Yeah, man. The NBA, with it being a 72 game season, and all the guys being professionals per se, I think you still will get the Otto Porters out there that will go and do their own thing, get together in a large gathering. Garrett Temple, like you said, BC went home for Thanksgiving, and now he's positive. But I think it'll be totally different because what we're seeing in college football right now is that the season is already truncated. The bowls are already canceled. So what do these kids really have to play for after they lose 2 or 3 games and they know they're out of it? So now they're going to parties. They don't care. Like, why stay disciplined? And they're 19, 20-year-old kids. So we're literally
you talking about grown men with money. You
right,
know what I'm saying?
That
just make it even worse.
Makes it even worse. So I definitely think we're going to see some issues, and we'll see which teams can be more disciplined. But that leads me right into what we want to talk about: the Chicago Bulls' first preseason game tomorrow night. Billy Donovan spoke today, and he said he doesn't see a lot of the top 7 in the rotation going into the second half. So you'll see them a little bit first quarter, second quarter. Second half, you'll start seeing the youngsters and players that are trying to make the roster, becoming the 14th and 15th guy on the roster. Denzel Valentine is dealing with another hamstring issue. Wasn't new. He deals with something each and every year. But I want to talk about Patrick Williams, the number 4 pick, man, out of Florida State. Do you guys think there was anything that went along with that pick? Does that tell you the direction, or is it simply AK said they had no interest ever in moving up or trading up in the draft in his post-draft press conference? Do you believe him, number 1? And number 2, Patrick Williams, what are your thoughts about the pick?
I'm not buying that. Like, if you didn't try to move up, like, you just not doing your job. That's just flat out. It was, in my opinion, it was better players, that you could have moved up to get. I just think that I think Zach LaVine was a non-starter in any type of conversation, and I just don't think they really had assets that anybody wanted in order to move up and into one of those top 3 picks. As far as Patrick Williams, like, I'm sorry, what's his name? That's his name, right? Patrick?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just, it just remains to be seen. Like, the kid averaged 9 points a game in college, and he came off the bench. Some of the things that I've been seeing is, obviously there's been a lot of high praise coming from his own teammates or what have you, but they're going to do that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
The real truth of the matter is, what can he do on the floor? I mean, I'm just, I'm withhold judgment on the floors. I'm just going to leave it at that.
His mom owns the floors back in North Carolina. That's what he did. He delivered for her in between practice and school. So C4, the direction they took with this, and based upon everything AK said post draft, what are your thoughts about it? And do you think they just took the best guy overall that they thought, or they looked at long term high ceiling when they looked at Patrick Williams.
Yeah, I mean, and just going to like how they drafted, how he drafted, even in Denver. I mean, when you look at guys that fell to them more recently, Michael Porter Jr. and Bol, two guys that basically fell to him just because of injury history.
Right.
Guys that are very high ceiling guys, and we saw that, you know, in the bubble. So I look at this kid, and I just look at his physical makeup: 6'8", strong. You know, offensively probably needs to develop a little bit, but already looks like he has active feet and
Right.
active hands on the defensive end. And I look at, you know, where he'll be playing, you know, 3, probably some 4, depending on some smaller lineups, but can step out and guard, you know, say in the clock situation, like who are the Bulls sticking on anybody to get a stop? So that's where I look at this kid as kind of being groomed into. I don't want to like put this on him, but you know, I see a little bit of similarity to how the Pacers when they drafted Paul George, and you know just how PG was used in Indiana that first series against Chicago, where like, all right, we're going to stick him on D Rose at the end of the game just to slow him down or give him a different look, you know, because he's cooking Darren Collinson for most of the game. So I look at this situation and I look at Otto Porter's injury history. His contract situation. I also look at Chandler Hutchinson, his injury history, and I look at this guy as probably being like a guy that they're grooming for, you know, that other wing spot. But he's also versatile enough to move around on the floor defensively.
Well, I will say this about him: he played at Florida State for Leonard Hamilton.
Yeah,
he got that going for him because Leonard Hamilton is the only coach that I know in basketball that's never been fired. Look it up; he ain't never been fired. And he, you know, and he does a good job, and you know, in coaching guys and developing them. So, you know, like I said, I'm skeptical. I'm iffy. I just got to see the kid play. That's it. You know, I seen a couple things. He looked like he got some tools in his bag. You know, I've seen that. So, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, can he translate that, you know, to the NBA level? But like I said, my concern is, you know, you coming off the bench at Florida State, you didn't start, you having 9 in the game. So if he can go from 9 in college to 15 in the league, I'll be impressed with that. So, you know, we'll see.
Like you said, you mentioned this, BC. Players have been very complimentary of him. I know Kobe White was complimentary of him. Zach LaVine, Larry Markkinen pretty much spoke glowingly about this kid, about how physical he is, especially on defense when he was sticking him in practice. But with all of these glowing comments, man, is this – I think recently I saw Casey Johnson tweet out that someone said that he's playing grown man basketball out there. And I didn't know how to take that. I'm like, okay, like, is that saying that the rest of you guys are soft? You know, that he can just come in and play grown man basketball? Or at 19, is this kid just somebody that we need to put our eyes on and say, man, he literally might come in physically ready to play the game and compete. Like you said, he needs to develop his offensive game, C4. He has some tools in the bag, like you said, BC. Man, but this might be somebody's second half of the season, and we might see starting to really come up to the top of the so-called, I guess, pyramid of the hierarchy of this team as far as being a leader and possibly being one of the top players.
Man, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow night, man. He ain't played an NBA minute. You know what I'm saying?
That's your summer league tomorrow night. Is your summer league?
I mean, you know, I will say this. I like how they doing it. What is it like it's 2 games,
like a series. Basically.
Yeah, they play like a series. So you know what I'm saying. So, and you know, Billy Donovan, that's another good part of it too, because obviously, you know, he's been in the league for a minute. But, you know, he's a good player development coach.
Facts.
And he has a young team to where it's almost like a college squad. I mean, obviously, you got some vets on there like LaVine and stuff like that. But, you know, you got Wendell Carter Jr., you got Kobe White. I mean, these kids Kobe would definitely still be in college right now. So I think that right there would be a good mix. You know, Billy Donovan, I think he's a decent coach. You know, he's still trying to get his NBA legs up on him, but he had a good start as far as like having some like all-star type players. So now you basically starting over. So we'll get to see, you know, how he can put his personality and his DNA on this team. But like I said, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow, man. Particularly on the rookie. I just want to see what he do.
Yeah, I take that grown man basketball. I think when you got a guy who's, didn't start, in college, but finished most of those games, and I just think coming in as a rookie, you want to set a tone. Like you want to come in and leave a mark on it. So while most guys may be, just walking through or something, this guy's game speed. So it can throw you off, especially if you're just going through your normal progressions and everything. This guy is like literally like, no, yeah, I'm gonna leave my mark
ready to go
right now. Exactly. So I think that speaks volumes just about what type of kid he is. And
sound like Jimmy.
Yeah, exactly. There's another good comparison. Because Jimmy, his practices and like the walkthroughs, those were his games at all. So it's still that was a little bit too high expectations to put on a kid right now. We definitely got to see how he looks against NBA competition. But like I said, physically and defensively, like he looks like he's ready.
Man, expected or projected win total, according to ESPN, for the Chicago Bulls in a 72-game season sits right at 29.9. That's what they're projecting, 29 wins for this team. I don't see 29 wins getting you in the playoffs, even in the Eastern Conference. And I don't know.
It might get you in.
We'll see. I think around 33 to 35 is going to be.
In the 82-game season, you can make the playoffs in the East with like 35 wins.
It's usually around 37, 38. It's usually around 37, 38.
I don't know.
7 to 8 are usually like 4 or 5 games under 500.
I feel like the Milwaukee, the Brandon Jennings teams, they made the playoffs one year with like 35 wins.
Okay, so in a 72-game season, you're thinking maybe 30, 32.
You talking about to get in the playoffs?
Border?
Because I think just 2019, who trying to think. So trying to think who made it, because I'm thinking like
I'm gonna give you 7 through 12 in the Eastern Conference when it comes to projected win totals, right?
Yeah.
So
I think last year Orlando made it with obviously the
38
season
wins.
33 wins. Like 33. Yeah,
it was 33.
Yeah, Brooklyn had 35.
Yep.
Yeah.
So projected win totals, they have the Pacers at 38.9. That's in 7th place. 8th, Atlanta Hawks at 36. Washington Wizards at 34.9.
That's low.
Orlando Magic at 32.6. They have Charlotte at 31.1. And then 12th, 29.9 is the Chicago Bulls, with New York, Detroit, and Cleveland bringing up the rear. So I don't know, man. A lot of people seem to think the addition of Billy Donovan makes this team a playoff team. I don't see it. Yeah, I just don't see it, man.
They barely
any unknowns.
They barely missed the bubble. But they was out of it by like a couple games, right?
They missed the bubble.
It wasn't by a lot though.
They missed that.
They missed it, but it wasn't by a lot because what?
No, 22 wins. Like, yeah, did the Hornets make it?
No, Phoenix was the last team to get in.
Phoenix was last.
Washington too. Yeah, Washington made it, and they had 25 wins. So about 3 games, but yeah,
they was 3 games out. You know what I'm saying? And and we know Boylan sucks. And I think, you know what I'm saying, Billy Donovan is a much better coach than him, like without question. So yeah, they could potentially be a playoff team in the 72-game season. It'll be a lot, it'll have to be a lot of things that go right.
Exactly. Yeah. Health is the main issue. You got a lot of guys who, Lloyd Markkanen, Wendell Carter, like guys who missed like significant, Otto Porter, who missed like some chunks of games last year. But I think
total waste of money, man.
Yeah, but what I think helps, also we go back to the Billy Donovan hire, like being happy to come to work is like something that you can't quantify like in terms of like that win-loss record. There were like times just the last 2 seasons, guys did not enjoy like coming into work. I mean, when you put like a punch-in clock at practice because you're trying to set this like tone, and the players are like openly mocking it, like it's not a good environment. So I think actually being in an environment now that's conducive to fostering like positivity and guys want to coming into practice, guys wanting, you know, to hear what their coach has to say. I think that goes a long way.
You know what? That's a perfect segue because last week Larry Markkinen said he wanted to be here for the rest of his career. I don't know if he would have, echoed those sentiments if you had asked him this time last year if he wanted to be here for the rest of his career. Said he was looking forward to his agent making a deal before the deadline to go ahead and get that extension. I don't know if the Bulls will tender him. AK said they're working on it feverishly. They want to get it done. So that's interesting, the fact that they're working on the deal without seeing what output they'll get from Lauri Markkinen, even under Billy Donovan.
Man, that's crazy because, like, Lauri need to prove, so like you gotta show and prove, man. Like you got people basically thinking that you regressed and you probably not as good as advertised. My problem with that is, just the simple fact that playing for Boylan sucked. Like there's no question about that. He made it miserable coming in to work every day, but there's no excuse for you to check out. You're a professional. You get paid to play. You get paid to play basketball. Nobody's probably more frustrated than Zach. And he still went out there and played hard and did what he had to do. Now, I know Lauri was hurt. And he had some injuries and stuff like that. But, regardless, you got to be a professional. So I wouldn't be trying to negotiate nothing with him right now. Like, I need to see what you could do, like, period, point blank. Like, I need to see if you could actually play basketball the way, you look like you could when you was a rookie. So I don't know what that, I don't know what that's about, but, maybe they seeing something that I'm not, but I have like zero confidence in Lauri right now, like until I actually see him, perform on the court.
Yeah, it's almost like C4. You can chime into this. It's almost like, I don't know if I really believe that. I know AK said that they're working, but is that AK saying more that, man, yeah, we're listening to his agent and what they have to say, and it's more of Lauri and his agent trying to make sure or make it happen before the deadline?
Well, yeah, I think if you're a player that has dealt with like some injury history, you definitely want to lock up, at least like, something along the lines of 4 years or something, where they're probably coming to disconnect is like, that number, like what's the value? I mean, I think Lauri's probably played his best basketball under Fred Hoiberg. So it wasn't put in a position to utilize, his skill set outside of his shooting, under Boylan. So that's the one thing I'm interested to see a little bit tomorrow, and just what positions are you putting Lauri in? He's not a guy you can throw it to in the post and that guy's going to go to work. He's a player who's you're going to need to be creative, put him in some positions where he's catching the ball on the move, as opposed to him just being almost a decoy out there on the floor and just being a guy you kick it out to. I mean, 7 feet, athletic. I mean, could do so much on the floor, can grab the ball, push it up the floor. I'm interested to see what type of positions Billy Donovan puts him in.
Well, will be one thing to watch tomorrow night, something that a lot of Bulls fans ask for, especially the second half of the season. Hey, BC, your boy gets the rock. Kobe White gets the rock. He is the point guard. It's his show. And I'll do this. Over, under. I'll lay it at 5 for Kobe White averaging assists at the end of this season. Are you going over or under?
It better be over. 5 is too low. What you talking about? Like, come on, man. Like,
so what, you want to set the over under at like 7?
It need to be like 7, 8. You're playing with Zach LaVine.
I was taking it to the fact that they probably will expect Kobe to score. And in his mindset will probably be the score.
Then who gonna distribute the ball?
I think it's gonna be him, and obviously Zach and Kobe gonna split all the ball handling duties. And the one thing that I've even told Zach can get 6 to 7 assists a game, like easily, just off of like simple dump off, just the way he gets to the rim. So I think that's
You
one
have to have players that can finish, though.
that too, and you have to put them in positions to where they're not just standing around or they don't feel engaged,
Right.
in what's going on out there on the floor. So with Kobe, I would say, I would give him probably over 5. I would say 5, like 5.8. Is manageable. Yeah, because
That's ridiculous. Your point guard shouldn't have fewer assists than your 2. That's just ridiculous.
I mean, depends on how you're asking. Is he really running like an offense, or like are you looking to have like this equal opportunity offense where you're just pushing the pace and whoever's got it going, has it going. So that's what
I mean, I'm not saying he Russell Westbrook, but like Russ was getting like what? How many assists was he getting a game on the Donovan?
we can't compare.
Well, that's true. I mean, but I'm just saying, like, come on, man, you the point guard, 5 assists a game. That's college numbers.
Yeah, but
I mean, he barely averaged. Well, I mean, it is college.
Yeah,
but he averaged around right at 5 in college.
You playing with better players, the game is faster. For you to get 5 in college and 5 in the NBA, and you to start in PG. I don't know, man.
I would say 5.7 because I mean, if you look at it, if you're like a scoring guard and you're sharing, a backcourt with a guy who's going to have the ball in his hand, that's actually pretty manageable. I mean, I think Kyrie last year probably averaged under 6 assists, or maybe a little bit above 6. It was probably like 6.3 or something like that, if I remember. But yeah, I would say like right.
But he's gonna get you 35. You can deal with that versus Kobe super streaky.
Yeah, but it's only the second year. I mean, and this is like the first go around of being like the starting point guard, of being handed the keys to the offense. So yeah, I would say 5.7. We think like Donovan is going to look to use him to score a lot too.
I still think that's low, but I would hope he would get more than that.
Kyrie was right at 6.4 last season. 6.4, and then Kemba, who was another scoring lead point guard, was at 4.9. So you think about it, that 5, right there in that 5 range.
Kemba had 4.9?
4.9. Jason Tatum controls the ball a lot, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Jay Tatum is really the main ball handler for that team.
Around there too, so you got it was his first year in that system too.
Yeah,
that's embarrassingly low for Kemba.
Not really. Considering not when you consider like you're being put in like a lot of isolation situations, because not only did Brad Stevens like, all right, I want you comfortable in my offense, but we're going to put some things in here that you're comfortable with doing too. So, I mean, not really embarrassing, because especially with the way the game is kind of played, and Kemba is an ISO guy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but then, like I said, we had. I mean, I didn't say this, but we had Shad on it talking about, Trey can get 15 assists a game. Like that's a big gap. But
then you're talking about elite passers, though. Trey is an elite passer. LaMelo is an elite passer. Bron is an elite passer. I don't think Kobe is an elite passer. That's just my personal opinion. So when I say Kobe can get 5 to 6 assists, I'm really expecting like him to supersede like middle ground. If I say Kobe, if you get 6 assists, we're good. If Trae Young got 6 assists, that's a disappointing season.
That's true.
He's probably gonna have he's gonna have to average 30.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess like Chris said,
he averaged what, 28 last year?
Yeah.
28.
I mean, it just depends on how Donovan uses him. Like, if you want him to be like, one of your primary scorers where assists don't really matter, then I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
All right, let's close this preview of the Bulls up. We talked about AK. We talked about Patrick Williams, his impact, and what we're looking forward to seeing on the court from him. Zach LaVine, man, I think he was ranked in the top 100 players from ESPN. He was came in about 58. No Bulls in the top 50. These rankings were all over the place, man. They were just really. Sabonis was ranked higher than Zach LaVine. My question to you guys: how good is Zach LaVine? We know he can score. Big picture, though, compare him to the rest of the league. Is Zach tier 2, tier 3? Do we dare go to tier 4? I mean, how good is Zach LaVine?
I mean, he can get 25 a game. I mean, that's good.
Yeah,
That's really good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, on any given night, Zach gonna get you 25. Like that's the floor. You know what I'm saying? Like he can go into the 30s, 35. So
Right.
when you're talking about in an offense driven league, that's pretty exceptional. You know what I'm saying? 25 a game is pretty damn good. The problem, I mean, what hurts Zach is obviously the team he plays for, and they don't win a lot. So you know that's why he gets that disrespect. But them rankings are stupid, man. Like I stopped paying attention to that stuff long ago because I don't know who's writing it. I don't know what the criteria is. I don't know what they looking at. But this right here was pretty bad. Like I've seen some bad ones, like you know how they used to do Kobe back in the day. But that was awful, especially
Yeah.
when you consider like the talent and who's who in the league today. For them to do Zach like that, that was crazy.
I'll say this: it's the smartest marketing. Is right up there with the Madden rankings and the 2K ratings. You're gonna get these guys pissed. You're gonna have them retweet with their displeasure, which leads to more clicks from their fans to just go to ESPN. So I mean, and then 2K, if you got players talking about their 2K ratings, you're gonna go out and buy the game. Same thing with Madden. It's the smartest marketing. Like every time we get towards those like points during the year. So I don't even take them. No, I don't think anybody really takes them seriously. I don't know what they grade or what the criteria is for these rankings, but it makes no sense a lot of the times. But in terms of like generating interest, in terms of pissing players off, it does that every year.
But it just makes everybody dumber too. Like the purpose of a ranking is to like, you know, you're supposed to give your honest assessment. Like your job in this business of sports journalism is to educate fans, not entertain them. You know what I'm saying? Like now, nobody knows what's going on anymore, man. And like that's the bad part. Nobody understands the game. This is so like, you know, when you put it in that context, that's ridiculous, man. That makes me sick because it's no wonder that everybody out here is stupid when they're talking about basketball. Because where they're going to for authorities is not helping them at all.
Yep.
So when they take the floor tomorrow night, what are you looking at? Who are you watching more, the players or what they're running and what Billy Donovan is trying to implement?
I don't know if I'm looking for anything specific, honestly. I mean, I guess the first thing I want to look at is chemistry. You know, how he's playing those guys and how they feeding off of each other. As far as like sets and things like that, I mean, I don't even really know if that's what you're really paying attention to in the preseason game. Particularly for this particular squad. And I mean, obviously they're gonna have some offense and things that they run, but I'm just interested to see how he uses players. You know, how do you use Laurie? Like Chris said, you got to be creative.
Yeah.
You know, we know what Zach is gonna do. You know, how are you gonna integrate you know, Kobe? Like what role is he gonna play? Is he gonna be a facilitator or is he gonna be, like I said, he gonna be one of those guys that's jack it up and shooting it? So that's, you know, I'm just kind of I'm going into it with like no expectations whatsoever. And I just kind of want to, you know, watch the game and just kind of feel my way through it and see what Billy Donovan is doing and how these players, you know, I guess I don't know how they, you know, how they facilitate and how they, you know, run his offense. So I'm not looking for anything. I just want to see how they play.
Yeah, I think the top three things for most fans. C4, my fault. Go ahead, man. What do you?
No, but I mean, yeah, they're like on the head. You're looking to see what they run. One thing I'm interested to see is just, you know, some of the guys that, you know, kind of feel like they're not part of things.
Right.
Like Wendell can get lost out there sometimes. Like how do you keep him engaged on the offensive end. You know, how do you get easy baskets for Zach and Lowry? We know what Zach can do in terms of isolation, but that puts a huge strain on you. Like when you get to game 15, you know, when this guy's burning so much energy trying to get his own shot. So making things a little bit easier for them. I think Kobe may help a little bit, seeing how Kobe adjusts to now running the offense and getting guys like in position. I'm looking to see how vocal he is in terms of that. So I'll be looking at what they're running and like keeping all guys engaged on the offensive end, because that translates into keeping them engaged on the defensive end as well.
Yeah, I want to see not just tomorrow night, but I'll probably say going 15 to 20 games into the season. I really want to see the impact of Mo Cheeks working with Kobe White. Like, man, will he see the game different? Will the game slow down for him a little bit more? That's what I want to see, the impact of Mo Cheeks on him. Of course, we're all going to watch the development of Patrick Williams. But then I want to see Lowry catch it at the three-point line. No fake, nothing. Just go get a charge. Like, just run somebody over. I just want to see you be aggressive. Just go get a charge. Go to the rim hard. Try to dunk on somebody. And don't just settle for the pass and an open three-point shot. Like, I want to see aggression from Larry Marketing, especially if you want that contract. I need to see you more aggressive. Those are kind of the things. Like you said, Wendell, I want him to just stay healthy, C4.
Yeah.
Because you talk about the defense, BC and C4, and like, who can they depend on? He really is that pillar defensively, at least to protect the rim. About the only one that they really have. And Patrick Williams, you know, he's a rim protector, but in the NBA, he's really only, 6'7", 6'8"?
Yeah.
So, you know, he's going up against other big boys. So I don't know how much of a how much you can depend on him to be that rim protector long term. NBA.
Wait, before we get off the Bulls,
let
me say this. Shout out to Gar Forman for finessing his way into another job, man. I gotta get it. I gotta get it to him.
You have to go give him his props.
I had to give him his props. Man.
Chicago Bulls, 29.9. They could make the playoffs. They'll be on the fringe. Should be an exciting season, 72 games. Let's go to the NBA and let's start out with the Eastern Conference. Giannis, Milwaukee, have they done enough? We have all the buzz up in Brooklyn with KD and Kyrie finally seeing the floor together. And then you have Miami, who they look like they're pretty much sitting pat. There was talk about them possibly going after Giannis via a trade. Then you had talks now. James Harden is interested in going to Miami and also going to Milwaukee. The East for me, and then Philadelphia, they get Doc Rivers. A deal with them, of course, not only Doc Rivers, but your guy, Mr. Small Ball, comes over into the front office from Houston as well. He's looking to bring James Harden to Philly, and Philly is balking at the fact that they don't want to give up or split Simmons and Embiid in order to get Harden. So that's a lot of storylines, and I think the two most stable teams might be the two teams that play for the Eastern Conference Championship in the bubble. As Boston and Miami. They both seem to have stood pat. Of course, Hayward ended up in Charlotte, got the bag from Michael Jordan. But, you know, Boston was stacked, and he really wasn't that influential on that young squad anyway. So how do you see the East playing out, man? Do you think Milwaukee once again will run it in the regular season? Or do you see Miami and Boston getting better and taking that next step, not only to be good as they showed in postseason play in the bubble, but to be that standard in the Eastern Conference in the regular season as well?
Well, when you're talking about Brooklyn.
Well, I mentioned them, but I said the most stable. Me personally, Brooklyn is the team I have to see. If we come do this same podcast 15 games in, I've seen Brooklyn. I've seen KD healthy. I know he's healthy. I've seen Kyrie healthy. The health is the only reason that I withhold my thought process in including Brooklyn in the top tier teams. That's the only reason. I just haven't seen them.
Well, I mean, okay, so in that aspect, then yeah, I mean, obviously, you're gonna have Milwaukee as probably, once again in the conversation. You can't leave out Toronto.
Right.
You can't leave out Boston and Philly. All of those teams have been there. As long as Philly's healthy, I think they're gonna be in the conversation. Then you got Miami. In that, like I said, in that respect, the teams that we've seen, and yeah, those guys are gonna be there. But I think, the conversation then becomes, again, what's about Brooklyn? Like you said, you got to see them. We know what a healthy, Kyrie looks like. We know what a healthy KD looks like. And then obviously they got
They
Steve
re-signed
Nash.
Joe Harris.
Yeah, they re-signed Joe Harris. Steve Nash is the head coach. So there's a lot of unknowns there in, in that particular dynamic. But at the same time, they're going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And that, they're gonna be a problem, and so Milwaukee, you gotta act.
You know what? We talked about this offline. I consider them more of a problem. That's the team I don't want to see in a series. In the playoffs.
Brooklyn?
Yeah, I don't want to see Brooklyn.
No, you don't want to see them.
Like, I don't see them being the top seed in the regular season. I see them maybe 2, maybe 3. But if you ask me, like, yo, what's the combo I don't want to face in the playoffs? Kyrie and KD, if they're healthy. Now
you don't want to see that.
You don't want to see that. The only other combo I think, the Boston combo. Because, like, from a playoff standpoint, I like Jalen. I like that combo.
Well, see, here's my thing. You got to throw the bubble away. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened in the bubble is not going to happen in the regular season.
No, but we saw them as youngsters without Kyrie. Step up, and they're both improving. That's why I say that, because I see them still developing and both getting better. So I think they're going to be there. Giannis doesn't have. I don't know if Giannis even has that. Chris Middleton hasn't shown that he's that dude in the playoffs. So I don't know if Giannis has that guy, even with the moves they made. And
the problem
so we talk about playoffs. KD and Kyrie might be the best duo come playoff time to carry a team.
Yeah, you got so many question marks about them because of the injuries and things like that.
Right.
Milwaukee, you really gotta wonder if Giannis is. If Giannis is there mentally. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta wonder about that. He's probably thinking about his future. Miami, they look good. Like I said, that's why you got to get rid of the bubble. Miami looked good in that particular situation. But are they really that good? You got to ask that question too. They were good in that particular moment, but are they really that good of a team? So
I would say this: Miami. If you go back and look in the regular season before the stoppage, Miami was banging Milwaukee.
Yeah, but they didn't have Drew Holiday.
That was just a bad matchup in Milwaukee.
But they didn't have Drew Holiday either at that time.
Oh, absolutely. But
so Drew makes them better.
Oh, so Drew and Giannis, does Drew solve the issues that Giannis has?
No. I would disagree, because now you have a guy. What he brings to them is versatility, and that's been the biggest knock to Milwaukee the last couple of years. They've run the table the last 2 regular seasons, but when it gets to postseason times, like, all right, you've done this the entire year, right, offensively and defensively. All right, we got the plan for that. Now what are you going to do? There's no adjustments made at all. I mean, Giannis, you can't give the ball to Giannis the last 2 minutes of a game. He can't run. He can't stonewall his way to the rim last 2 minutes of a game. I think Drew helps with that, because now you have another guy. You can put the ball in his hands. All right, go create a shot. Go get a guy a shot. Use Giannis as a decoy. Giannis can get something moving to the rim. Giannis can get easier baskets. Giannis can get like a follow-up, off a layup attempt or something. I mean, they've just been so predictable. So I think Drew helps that. Miami, probably, I would say, the best coached team in the Eastern Conference. So never want to like
completely count them out.
Yeah, can that, I mean, especially a team that, we talk about it all the time, the culture, any team that plays hard all the time, like it's good. I think Tyler Hero is going to improve a lot. We're going to see like what he's going to do his second year.
C4,
Yeah.
just based off health. Were you shocked they gave the bag to Gore? Just based off health.
Is that Dragic?
Yeah.
Well, not really, because it's only like really it gives them flexibility next year. I think it's a team option on that second year, if I'm not mistaken. So no, not at all. I mean, for a guy to, tear his fascia like first game of the finals and then still try and gut it out,
Yeah.
play, in that series, no, not what he's meant to that organization. So not at all. I mean, I was happy that they took care of Bam and didn't have him waiting on getting this deal. So I mean, but that's just Miami taking care of their players. So, no, I wasn't too surprised about that, though.
Yeah, so let's go ahead. Let's talk about this. Let's go ahead and fast forward and project to the playoffs, right? Let's say everybody is healthy. Let's just give that standard. Give me your top 3 tandems going into the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Top 3?
Top 3.
Kyrie and KD.
That's one. Okay.
Simmons and Embiid.
Okay.
Drew and Giannis.
Okay. C4.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I mean, you definitely want to put like Tatum and Jalen in there, but I mean, I just look in terms of like you really can't do, not to take anything away from those two guys, but when you look at Giannis, KD, Kyrie, these are guys who are just like offensively unstoppable. Giannis to an extent, if he's in the open court with the ball, get out the way. KD, 7 foot, nothing you can do with him. Kyrie, handle, one of the best scorers in the game, can't do anything with him. Embiid can't do nothing with him on a low block. There's not a
if he'll go to the low block.
Well, I think that's going to be one of emphasis.
Doc gonna sit him down now.
Yeah, I think just they'll still kind of struggle to figure out how to keep him and Simmons effective together. But yeah, I would say that would be my top 3 tandems, like going into the postseason as well.
I think I will bump Simmons. For me, Simmons and Embiid will come in right behind Tatum and Brown. For me, I mean, it's preference. I just like those 2 young dogs.
I mean, the thing about that is they got a third player though. They got Kemba. Giannis and Drew ain't got nobody else. But the same thing with Ben Simmons and Embiid.
You talked about the impact of Drew. I don't care what additions Milwaukee makes. Nothing will be more impactful than Giannis being able to make shots. If Giannis is able to make shots, it changes everything for that team.
Yeah, but everything. He can't shoot. Can't shoot. And like Chris said, you're not gonna be stonewalling your way to the baskets, particularly not in the playoffs. And so no matter who you put around him or what you put around him, that's gonna be the Achilles heel. They're not gonna be able to get over that hump.
Hey man, the DC nightlife just got boring. Because Russ is very much a family man. He ain't John Wall, dog.
And so is Brad Beal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the excitement of John Wall being out in the clubs after each and every game, that's gone. That trade for you was very meh. I think it was meh for me as well, but I am interested in seeing the chemistry between Bill and Russ, strictly from the fact that John Wall wasn't on the court. So I think having somebody on the court with him at that point guard position, I think that team, and Rui Hachimura, very underrated with how he played last year. He had a really good season as a rookie.
I mean, I happen to think John Wall is a better basketball player than Russell Westbrook.
Woo!
I disagree.
Woo!
I do.
Agree, and I love John.
I think John is a better basketball
player. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to go ahead and snatch that back.
Why?
I mean, I'm just giving you the opportunity. You don't have to.
No, I'm standing on that. I think I think John Wall got more in his bag. In terms of being like an actual basketball player. Russ does what he does, and that's just gonna be that. But I mean, in terms of total basketball playing ability, in terms
Yeah,
of skill,
yeah.
John Wall got him by a mile.
C4, you said you disagree with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I love John, but I just think, let's take away like accolades. You know every night what you're getting from Russ. Like you can't really say that. You can only really say that about a handful of players in the league. And I know if he's not shooting well, I know he's still getting guys easy shots. I know he's still putting pressure on the rim. So I just look at it in terms and just availability too, in terms of like health. And that's no fault of John Wall's at all because injuries happen. But
Right.
game in, game out, every night that I can't take the night off against Russ at all.
But I know what I'm gonna get from John Wall every night. I'm gonna get 15 to 20 points, get 12 assists, probably 2-3 steals a night. So the points may not be there, but I mean, in terms of if John Wall is healthy, he's gonna give you that every single night. And like I said, he got more in his bag. I think, he's a faster player, he's more savvy with the ball and he can score. Like, I'm not gonna take that away from him. He can put the ball in the hole. The problem is just he's just been hurt a lot. But in terms of actual playing ability, give me John Wall.
Man, go ahead, C4.
No, I see what you're looking at from like a tool standpoint. So yeah. I'm gonna agree with you a little bit. He has a little bit more. Russ is more like in the end, but yeah, in terms of like what you can expect on the night in, night out basis, for me, I would take Russ over John.
And I'm gonna say this: if what I've been seeing from John Wall and that jumper is real, if he got that, oh, forget it, it's over.
All right, let's slide to the left side, man. Western Conference. I was going to go to the top 4 teams and how you think it would play out, but the James Harden saga coming up, not reporting to camp. According to Steven Silas, I guess, he's supposed to report as soon as he's clear of COVID protocol. And that might be tomorrow, according to reports. Who knows? Now it's coming out that he's open to not only going to Philly, but he's open to going to Miami and Milwaukee as well. And then I want to talk about Paul George, man. He gets 4 extra years added to his deal. With all the draft equity that the Clippers gave up, I guess they had to do this because to go into the same summer with Kawhi and PG being able to walk after you gave up all of that draft equity, that would have been a disaster, especially if they both decided to walk. So to lock him up, I see why Ballmer might have wanted to do it and why the organization might have wanted to do it. We're going to get to this in Truth or Trash, but PG has just, man, I saw clips that the interview he did with the guys, Matt Barnes and Jack, in my opinion, just didn't make him look good. He came off a terrible performance in the playoffs in the bubble. But some of the stuff he talked about with Doc Rivers and then the statement about, him being back with his trainer when he was an MVP or when he was in his MVP mode. And I'm like, dude, like, just play, man. Just play, period. Because blaming Doc for giving you more pin downs than putting the ball in your hand, like you're playing with Kawhi Leonard, bro. He's going to have the ball in his hands more than you. And talking about adjustments, like Doc Rivers, when Doc Rivers finally responded to it, he was like, yo, his coach was on the bench with me. Like Ty Lue was next to me. So I don't know what adjustments he expects.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Man, listen, Paul George been soft since Indiana, man. Like, for real. Like, I remember when I had my old Twitter account, he was doing all that talking when he thought the Pacers was going to beat the Bulls, and then they ended up taking the L. I ended up saying something to him about it, and he blocked me. But like, for real, like, but you was doing all that talking before, and that's just what he does. He just a lot of mouth, man. Like, for real, like, he just a lot of mouth. He's a great basketball player, particularly, like, if he get rolling, there ain't really nothing you could do with Paul George. But, mentally, I just don't think he as tough as you would like to see for a guy of that caliber. You know, this is the same dude that basically said he checked out in the bubble. Said that on TV in the post-game interview. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really be surprised at, you know, what he says on the podcast with two other guys, you know, two other basketball guys. So I'm thinking, you know, I just think, and then, you know, his life choices. My man popped that P, you know. So that's just really all you need to know about Paul George. But he checking the bag. I can't even, you know, I can't take that from him. He made his money.
No, I would just say he's like one of those guys that, you know, hears everything. You know, he's checking everything. Like if I were him, like you see Kawhi is always quiet, but you know, Kawhi is not coming out making any proclamations. It's just right to work. Like if I'm PG, I'm taking that same mindset. There's no reason for me to go sit down with Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, and talk right now. Like, hey, like everything you look at Giannis had a disappointing playoffs. He's not making no proclamations or anything. But you know, just come out and hoop. That's it. That's all you have to do.
Right.
You don't have to defend yourself. All you can do is go out there and hoop. Like whatever happened in the bubble, that's over. You don't have to explain it anymore. You didn't just say, hey, I didn't play up to my expectations or up to what my capabilities are. I'm gonna be better and move on from it. He shouldn't have been on Twitter, anything. Like this little off season that they had should have all been about like getting better and just focusing on next season. Because now with you coming out with all these proclamations and saying, you know, I'm on everybody's ass to start the season. All right, come out and have a slow start to the season.
Right.
All that stuff comes right back around you. Now you just signed the contract. And props to Showtime. They released that PG interview right after the announcement of that deal. So that was great timing on that part. But yeah, I mean, you don't need to talk at all. We know what you're capable of. You're an all-star. Just come out and hoop. Because what you're saying, all of this stuff, you're putting a bigger target on your back. You don't really have as good a team as you did last year because you lost Trez. So all that onus is you're just putting a bigger target on your back.
That cat Trez went right across the hallway very quietly. Got the bag, like, I'll see y'all.
I mean, they winning over there.
Man, are they head and shoulders above everybody else?
Talent-wise, yeah. No question. No question about that.
Is this the year AD jumps up into the MVP conversation?
That I don't know. I mean, you would like to see it, but it ain't, you know, it ain't like one of them situations where you can just be like, yeah, like he about to do that. You know, he has to just be dominant like from the gate. And he has the ability, and he could have got MVP a long time ago. You know, and he has the ability, you know, and the skill set. You know, he's been in the league long enough to be able to do that. He just got to get it done.
Yeah, health wise, yeah, he just has to stay healthy. Anthony Davis, like easy, you can like chalk him up to damn near like 26 and 12, and close to 3 blocks. I mean, I think now with LeBron kind of, it's hard to even say nearing the end, but like I would say they'll play through AD a lot more, I think, you know, this year. But I want to see how they manage them as well, just because you have such a short turnaround, you know, from the championship now in training camp, now in the season. I want to see how they manage their minutes and their load without, you know, garnering fines from the league, because you can't really rest players like now without getting like what, $100,000 fine. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they manage them. But AD, I don't think the MVP really is like, it may be an individual goal, but I don't think it's a true focus. But he's definitely capable.
Plus you playing with LeBron, so
exactly, yeah.
You ain't gonna never get that real, true, honest look.
Yep.
So BC, I'm about to set it up on the tee for you. All right. I'm gonna ask this question, and I'm gonna segue into like the perfect scenario for you. It's what you always wanted. How devastating is the Klay Thompson injury to the long-term outlook on Golden State, right? Because this was supposed to be the resurgence of Golden State after KD leaves. Everybody comes back. The core comes back. They get Wiseman or whoever's going to be the number 2 pick. Here's Golden State challenging and contending once again. How devastating is that to them moving, not just this year, but moving forward and what they thought they had over the next 3 or 4 years? And then just for the league itself, to lose one of your top teams, how impactful do you think it'll be?
I mean, it's always devastating when you lose a guy like Clay. He tore the ACL, then he come back and blow the Achilles. So you're talking about 2 missed seasons.
Yeah,
that's just always devastating. Like nobody's gonna be able to bounce back from that. Like you can't duplicate that. The thing now is we get to see, for me, how good is Steph really? How good is Steph Curry? Y'all know me. I've been saying, like, for the longest, like, you swap out Dame and Steph. Dame can do what Steph can do, but I don't know if Steph can do what Dame can do. Now we get to find out. We get to see if it's really real. And, you got a smaller one to work with. You only got 72 games. You got some pretty decent talent. You got Andrew Wiggins. You got Kelly Oubre, which I thought was a good pickup for them. That was super smart for them to do that, because you try to offset that a little bit, because Oubre is, he's hell on defense on the perimeter. But it puts a lot of pressure on Steph, a ton of pressure, because you coming off your own injuries. We ain't seen you in a while either.
right.
So you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of pressure on him. But all those Steph fans and dudes who call me a hater and call me crazy because I take Dame over Steph, now we gonna see.
Yeah, definitely devastating to the league when you talk about an organization that for what I would say 6 out of the last 7 years, been like, 5 out of the last 6 have been just dominant. So just missing a guy like that it shrinks the court kind of now, because playing with those 2 guys, I don't think not enough headlines is given to how difficult it is having 2 guys like on opposite ends of the court who garner that level of attention defensively, especially as far back as they can pull defenses out. So definitely a big blow. But like BC says, there's so much now put on the shoulders of Steph now to not only lead, but to basically, let's see what you got now, because everybody in the West got stronger. Damn near everybody in the West is a gauntlet. Like, so, and now you got Ja Morant in the fold now, so you got to deal with that. So it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, it sucks for a guy who working your way back from. I think we look at ACL injuries now as like, oh, okay, he'll be back next season. We don't think about the mental component of that. We don't think about guys having to shake rust off, like getting comfortable again, like taking contact or being out on the floor with pro level competition, and even getting the confidence back to do some of the things you do now, like an Achilles injury on top of that. So now you're away from NBA competition for 2 years, and now you got to go right back. You got to rewind that entire process. That's why I look at, John Wall's situation. I want to see how he looks. I look at DeMarcus Cousins, his situation. Like, what is he going to look? Because when you're away from the game, that like you're still an NBA player, but like you lose a little bit of that time, man. Like you can't get that back at all. But I think all of those guys are good enough, like in terms of mental aspect, to be able to like compensate for some of the things that they're going to lose physically. But it just sucks that we won't get to see the Splash Brothers play this year.
Man, when Clay come back, the pandemic gonna be over.
Man, seriously.
Seriously. I think 5 through 10 in the West is going to be like something to watch.
It's a gauntlet.
It's going to be a gauntlet outright battle, like each and every night. Especially when you add Phoenix, getting CP3, you throw them in the mix. Memphis was right there, battling for 7 and 8. Matter of fact, Memphis, I think had gotten all the way up to like 5, 6.
Yeah.
At one point, you got Utah, you got New Orleans. Like Bledsoe goes to New Orleans. That's a strange mix with him and Lonzo in the backcourt.
Yeah.
Strange mix. Brandon Ingram and Zion getting better. I know they got Steven Adams to help them defend the rim and give them a presence in the paint. But some of the moves they made,
they got Gar Forman. That was one of the moves they made. What you talking about?
You gotta laugh. You gotta laugh from my boy Tony Gill in the comments when you gave a shout out to Gar Foreman.
Keep getting those checks, guys.
Keep getting those checks, man.
Keep getting them checks.
Hey, man, we only have one truth or trash as we get ready to slide up out of here, dude. A player went on a podcast called Road Tripping and said he feels like he's won the 2 toughest championships in NBA history. Truth or trash, man?
You know what? Yeah. He ain't lying.
All right.
He ain't lying. That's real. Like you know, you the first one to come back from 3-1 in the finals. Give you that.
Against
you
that.
know, against that team,
Yeah.
give you that. And in the bubble, I'm gonna give you that too. Like it ain't no question. Like that was tough. That was hard. But living in a hotel room for how many weeks was it? 10 weeks, something like that.
4 months then, man.
Yeah.
4 months, man. So yeah, I can't even front. He right about that. That's 100% true.
C4, you agree?
Oh yeah. I mean, coming back 3-1 against the team that had the best record in NBA history and on the road. Like on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then the bubble, just like I think one thing that I'm glad is players talking about their experience in the bubble. I don't think they can do any justice to how difficult just their time there was, because you think about a lot of guys are like reclusive. So imagine not like going out in the hotel and you see your opponents with you. Not every guy's like buddy. Like, I don't want to see that dude. I gotta play this dude. In like an hour. Like,
Right.
I want to go out there. So to be away from your family, you know, being away from just like society as a whole while everything was going on in terms of protests, in terms of like the pandemic, like I don't think we'll ever we can't quantify how difficult that was a situation. I know with LeBron, every time he says something, it's just like, man, come on, dude. But yeah, I have to agree with him on that.
Yeah,
Man, Jamal Murray and Spider Mitchell dropped 50s and then see each other at the pool.
Right.
Like, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying?
You want to swing
right.
All right, man. Let's get out of here, dude. Flavor in your ear. What you been listening to?
Man, I've been listening to Stove God Cooks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and I know that, that album came out like a minute ago. Not listened to it, I heard it, it was decent, but then I just got back into it like a couple weeks. I'm like, man, this is banging. So I've been listening to that.
The drought. All right.
Me, I've been on R&B tip. Been listening to Alex Isley a lot. Going to some neo soul. Got some Jill Scott in there, some Erykah Badu. So yeah.
Yo, I've been listening, man. That Jasmine Sullivan. I like it a lot.
Check that out, man.
I like it a lot. And that's pretty much it. I did last week, I think, because it was like the anniversary. I ran through that American Gangster.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have an interesting verses, man. Interesting verses. Young Money versus Cash Money. Who win?
Cash Money.
I'm leaning that way too. But Nicki and Drake are heavyweights.
Who are we including on that on Young Money?
You have to divide. C4, you're right. You have to divide what Wayne projects go to Young Money versus Cash Money.
See, where I draw the line is I don't really count. I mean, even though I know he was, I don't really count Drake as Young Money like that.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's what I said. Who are we including on that? Yeah, I don't know how this new versus got set up too. I mean, you got Ashanti against Keisha Cole.
Man, I'm not gonna even.
That might be the lowest rated verses of all time.
I'm not watching it.
Yeah, that was not fair.
I'm cool on that.
That was not fair.
Yeah. Also, I've been listening to is a shameless plug, man. My daughter Ari Camille just dropped her first single. It's called Strawberry. It's available on iTunes. You go to iTunes, search Ari Camille. It'll pop up. Our first single. She'll be shooting the video out in LA next month. So, yo,
That's what's up.
I'm extremely proud of her, man. She mixed it, she produced it, she wrote it.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, so that's why we're paying all that money.
Hey man, and then I do want to say this because I'm watching my man on TV. 10 years ago today was the first time I met Kobe Bryant when the Lakers came and played the Bulls. And it was like just a dope experience. Like I put it on Twitter, I put it in my fleets or whatever. He was super cool. And so that was crazy that like today is that day. So got to put that out there. And then, you know, rest in peace to my boy, Jay Almighty. His birthday is today too. So December 10th is an interesting day for me today. Like a lot of things coming together.
Yeah. All love Cole, Bean. Still can't believe it.
Like, I'm coming up on a year.
I don't want people to even bring it up because I feel like if you don't bring it up, I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah,
right.
Like, he's literally still here. Like I just feel that, but I know he's not. Hey, before we get out of here, we put it out there. I poll question to people today, man. Give me a player, couple of players, man. You think in this era would have had a much better career? I'm gonna give you some names people gave, right? Somebody said Marcus Camby. Somebody said Dana Barros, Latrell Sprewell, minus the choking. Somebody said Tim Legler. In this era, he would have been nasty. Somebody actually said Doug Christie, Jamal Mashburn, Brad Sellers, Antoine Walker, Lamar Odom. I threw out Rod Strickland because I think Rod in this era would it be more being he already finished, was one of the best finishers at the rim. You give him some more space, I think Rod would have been like 2010 annually.
Well, I think Marcus Camby would have been food. But my guys would probably be, man, Mark Price would probably cook in this era. Terrell Brandon would cook in this era.
Good one.
Mark Moore would cook in this era.
Definitely.
Mashburn most definitely would get busy. That would be ridiculous. Walt Williams, man, the Wizard would probably the Wizard would probably, you know, he'll probably do some stuff too.
What do you think about Tim Thomas? You think Tim Thomas would
Tim Thomas would get busy. What?
Easily.
You ain't got to guard nobody.
Yeah.
And you get to shoot. Man, that's his game.
Yeah, as the game has evolved, that's a lot of cats from the past that I would have loved to see in today's NBA.
I'm gonna throw some like unusual ones out there. Mehmet Okur.
Hey, Darren Williams just talked about him today.
On where?
He did an interview on the Knuckleheads podcast.
Oh, Darius Miles was another guy I was gonna bring up.
Miles, yeah. Darren was saying Mehmet had skill.
Work. Dude, pick and pop.
Yeah.
Yep, man. Big. I ain't got to go down low. I can stay out here.
That's a good call.
Man, I said D Miles, Mehmet Okur. Chris Bosh. Think about like even going back to, I mean, these guys were already like kind of Hall of Famers, but Chris Webber in this era. Like, man, there's so many guys I can think of. I just want to throw Mehmet out there because, like, I used to love watching that Utah team. I got to check that podcast out.
One of the things that stood out to me that he said, as much as, you know, it's been said that he got Jerry Sloan fired, and he talked about the tension between him and Jerry Sloan and what he put him through just to be able to become the starting point guard. And he said, man, sometimes you don't appreciate what you have until you go. And he said being in Brooklyn, man.
Not even Brooklyn, just yet New Jersey.
Made him love Jerry Sloan more and more, dude.
He went to New Jersey first. And
New Jersey, right.
Got his first taste of like losing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yo, That's a great. Somebody said Brad Sellers, Steve Francis. I say Baron Davis, yo.
Baron Davis cooking regardless.
I'll say Baron Davis.
You talk about we could throw Gil in there. Gil would be averaging 35 easily.
Arenas? Oh yeah.
Yeah, easily.
Absolutely.
Like we talk about, I think we'd be talking about, we wouldn't even be talking about, we'll still be talking about Steph and Dame, but they would come after Gil.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how much I love that Gil.
I got somebody for you. Bobby Sura. I think Bobby Sura would have been a little. Bobby Sura was decent, yo.
Couldn't shoot.
But I mean, if you're growing up in today's game, that's something you're actually trying to do.
Yeah, you got to put the ball. You got to be able to.
You know what I'm saying?
I had to think on that one.
Yeah, think on that one.
I ain't so.
See, I'm trying to go with guys that are like wide margin, not guys that are like we knew were good.
Right.
Guys that are kind of like, But if you put them in today's game, it's like, okay, they would have been in their bag.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think Steve Smith in this era.
Too slow.
I mean,
he still had
hurt. Knees hurt in college.
What about Bonzi Wells?
That's the thing. He's a post-up guard because I kind of looked at, I was going to say even Quentin Richardson, but those guys were like post-up guard. So it's difficult me seeing them. Like, we seeing Melo can't even really do what Melo wants to do.
Right.
There. So.
But young Melo would cook right now. 40s.
40s?
Ooh, easy. Young Melo right now? Yeah. He'll lead the league in scoring, ain't no question. T-Mac too. It'll be ridiculous.
Oh yeah, T-Mac would have been.
That's a cheat code for him.
Yeah.
That's a cheat code. You spread the floor with 4 other guys that could shoot. It's a wrap.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
How much better is Ivo in this game?
Game spread wide open. You give them, like access.
And you can't touch them.
You can't touch them.
40s.
I got one for you that I know for a fact would have been better in today's game. That cat, Skinny Anderson. Kenny would have been dude. Because I don't think Kenny had the same freedom pick and roll.
Probably not.
No, he was trying to get the ball down to deep.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I say, yeah, I'm trying to think.
Open game today.
Yeah.
I definitely think Kenny would have been much better.
Probably.
Hey,
you can make
Derek Coleman's skill set though.
Yeah,
would have fit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He could have played too.
Yeah.
What about Billy Owens? Nah.
Hype. Hype. Still would have been hype.
But that's it, man. That's the podcast according to sources. That's our NBA and Chicago Bulls season preview. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, you can go to iTunes, type in A2S Network or the podcast according to sources, and you'll be able to find us. We want to differentiate. If you're trying to follow us, you can follow us at A2S Pod 1, just to make sure you can differentiate.
Right.
A2S Pod 1, and you'll find us, man. For my guys, the best three-man weaving podcast land, my guys running the wing, C4 Dunk, Bryan Crawford, three dudes from the game, talking about the game, that love the game. We'll see you next time right here, the podcast according to sources.